everyone, welcome to Best Media Info. I'm Akansha Srivastava. I have with me Ram Madhvani. I don't think so. I need to introduce him because everybody knows that.
And now that you have said so, now you have to introduce me.
So I actually don't need to introduce him. Everybody knows him. He joined Equinox Films as a trainee.
Yeah.
Now he's also the co-founder. He's a director there. He's a producer there. He also runs another virtual Equinox virtual.
Yes,
Right.
They have something new coming up, which is that we've been at. So I joined Equinox as a trainee, and then my wife also joined as a trainee, and now we own it. But my mentor Shwantru Ghoshal is basically somebody who then sort of gave it to us.
So well, he's introduced himself on his own, and we know that what work he's been doing. He's produced some amazing ad films like Har Ek Friend Zaruri Hota Hai for Airtel. Then my very favorite Happy Dent Palace film, and then he's the man behind Neerja. One of my favorite songs is from that film, Jeete Hain Chal.
I'm going to tell my music director. And Prasun Joshi wrote the lyrics. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll tell him.
Yes.
That I love that
you
song.
must tell him. Yeah.
Welcome to Best Media Info. Thanks for taking out time for this. So, Ram, you've often said that ads should entertain first and sell later. In today's race for clicks, conversions, and short-term performances, has the industry lost the balance?
I think I'm going to have to say that. When did I say that? I always said we should sell first. This is going on media. I can't say that entertain first. I have to say sell first. Otherwise, nobody give me work.
Tell the truth to us.
No, I know. No, I think we're all living in a world where, and I'm now part of that world where I'm yet making those commercials where I understand the dynamics of the marketplace. We've got short attention span, we've got short shelf life, we've got too many things that people need to see. So I think constantly, a lot of it, we just have to go out there and tell them what it's about. Now, the problem is, how do you do that and yet entertain? And I think that's something that we have lost, because it feels like we've now got to a little more clear cut, bhai jo hai wo bech lo aur barabar se bolo. And you know what? I think the audience has changed. So they also now are very happy just being told the message.
So is that a problem?
I don't know if it's a problem, but I think that audiences are also seeing through advertising. So they know when you're also being a little too, sort of scammy about it, or if you're being a little too clever about it. They also want it straight. So actually, I have no hassles with the new sell, but I do believe that the way that we used to wrap it earlier, I'm not too sure the audiences, and also that wrapping takes a little more duration. Whereas today, in this age of distraction, I don't know whether we have the luxury of that. So that's basically where I am on this right now. Did I answer that question? I did.
Yes, you did answer.
Did I maneuver it correctly?
I just think there's no problem in entertaining and also selling together.
But I think that what's happened is that the ways of entertainment that there used to be, I think the stickiness of those, I think the cut-throughness of those, I think are in some ways not as fresh as they used to be. Because I think that today what's happening is that, yes, if you have a star, it helps. Like even when I'm doing a series or whatever, it helps if you have somebody who's out there to sell it for you. And I think that the people are also interested in that kind of stuff. So they're interested in you telling it to them straight, or you tell it to them with a big star.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So you frequently speak about the importance of truth in storytelling, and all of this is come from the research.
That's a bit of a irony, which is truth in advertising. But I think, I really talk about it from a filmmaker's point of view, which is that I was trying to see from the time of Har Ek Friend, how to get a certain amount of realism and truth, because it's eventually a group of kids singing in a classroom. How fake can that be?
Yeah.
And how do you make that real? I mean, that is like, you can't have college guys singing in a classroom and make that look real. So I started, in some ways experimenting with how do I make sure that when you receive it, it feels real. I think that's the other thing that I'm trying to do more and more in the advertising. It's not about the sell, it's not about the entertainment, it's about how believable it is.
But what's your take on brands running after a lot of trends, gimmicks, memes, a lot of cringe content like Ganji Churchadel?
Yeah. Well,
how do you take it?
I'm part of the world as you are, and I better make sure that I am reinventing myself so that I'm aware and actually make it.
So you wanna go the path where everybody just works?
I think one of the things that we have done as a production house, and my producer Manoj Shroff is here with me, and for I won't tell you how many years, but for many decades, we've been at the forefront of changing. And so I feel that if I'm not going to change, then I'll die. and I think that the best feeling for reinvention is fear. And so I'm going to make sure that I'm scared enough so that I can reinvent and be part of the current conversations. Because I don't want to be in a position like, for instance, we did the Kindle ad, which Raj Deepak Das and Leo Burnett was the people who, and we made it and I directed it. But I love the Kindle, and I feel that people say, why don't you read on books? And I say to them, but listen, what do you want me to do? Sleep with a rock? Because then don't tell me to even buy books, then I should be actually, reading off a rock. So I think from the rock to paper to Kindle, I'm adapting. And if I don't adapt, and to AI now, and to VR, which is what we've just done, a short film on virtual reality, which is using AI. So I'm embracing all of that. As somebody said, if you don't, AI may not, may not kill you, but if you don't use AI, then you'll die.
So I understand it's important to upgrade, it's important to transform each day.
Right.
But the point is, you do it the best way. I see a lot of people using AI, but creating films probably which are not really impactful. I might not even like them watching. Or creating memes and cringe content that because it worked for somebody doesn't mean it will work for everybody. So,
well, that's there are some things which are personal. I think ethics is personal. I think I'm a bit of a fanatic myself when it comes to quality judgment about what is good versus what is bad. But I think that now that really is so personal. कि जो किसी को अच्छा लगा, किसी को नहीं अच्छा लगा, etc. Now these are all things that we are straddling all our lives, and I think the best thing is when you can make everybody like it. But that kind of reach is rare. We have managed in Equinox to get that kind of, what shall I say, cultural conversation, and what they in advertising they call as watercooler conversation, where like public train में बात कर रहे हैं आपके ad के बारे में. तो आजकल मुझे पता नहीं कि लोग are they really talking about advertising in trains?
Because we're mostly making always on content. We're not actually working on big ideas.
Exactly. And I think that is something which, when was the last time that I used to when people were seeing ads and said, yeah, and ye ad aapne dekhi, kitni achhi ad hai. Okay, now they're not saying that anymore. They used to say that. Now, why are they not saying that? Perhaps it's not because the ad itself has maybe become less or better or good or bad. But I think people themselves are no longer talking about advertising like that. I think that culture has shifted.
Okay, so now moving to the next part of the interview.
Yes.
According to you, what makes a brave client?
I have actually spent my life, in a way, sniffing out what I call as rogue elephants. Okay. These rogue elephants are when you have an elephant who's in must, and then that elephant is those creative directors that I've been fortunate enough to work with. And because I'm in a way low down the ladder, right? It's by the time it comes to me, and then, so I have no inflated sense of ego about these things. There is the client, there is the creative director, and then there is me. And so whenever I have smelt that the creative director has been given the baton of excellence rather than mediocrity, or what I call as the passion of mediocrity, when they've been given the baton of the passion of excellence, then I can smell it in the room. And I can smell the rogue elephant. And then what I do is, I hold on to the tail of that elephant. And then whenever that elephant, because I can smell, we are onto something over here where people want great work. And it's not just, and they want work that will last years, and they want work that is memorable. At a certain time, you know what they used to say? Is it the kind of ad, like if you were to put it in a collection, at that time there was DVDs, right? So at that time we used to say, would you buy that ad? Not the product, but would you buy the ad if it was in a collection and you were to sell those 10 ads? And I think there have been times in my life with the creative directors that I've worked with, whether it's Prasun Joshi, Raj Kurup, Raj Deepak Das, any of them, these were people who were chasing great work. And I think that what happens with the client is that when they are actually knowing fully well that the product positioning is done, the selling is done, but when they're chasing, what makes for a client who's brave is when he's chasing feelings. And I think that's really, so that when you look at it, what should you feel at the end of this? Not what should you say. And so I can sense those conversations. I say, oh, okay, here's a client who's actually not talking about the sell, but he's talking about the feel. What should the consumer feel or the audience feel when they see it? I just did an ad for Airtel. Is it on air, Manoj? No, it's not on air. Okay, I can't speak about it. But Gopal was there in the room and Shashwat was there in the room, and I've been doing a lot of ads for Airtel, and obviously Pallavi from Taproot was there and Aggie was there. And I knew that they had a good script, but when Gopal came in and Shashwat came in, they decided they would make it. They were talking about how should the audience feel. And that really takes the ad from, like, you know, sometimes from here to there. So,
which ad? Because you just said there's an ad that did not go on air.
No, it's not gone on air yet because we've just presented it.
But so Aggie and Pallavi, they left Taproot long time back, no?
Yeah, but now Airtel is with Pallavi in an agency called Fundamental.
Okay.
Aggie is consultant to Airtel.
Okay. Now I get the dynamics.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. So what's the most common mistake brands or agencies make when briefing filmmakers like you?
Dare I? Who am I? I am nobody. How can I even say that there is a mistake? Like no, but genuinely, there are no mistakes, right? Mistakes are
probably things they should keep in mind while
briefing us. I think first of all, make sure that your ad is director proof. Okay, just don't rely on the director. I think that's most important, because it's on paper, it has to work. Because sometimes a director, because we're really in the business of alchemy. It is a little, you don't know what's going to happen. So you can't rely on the director to pull it off. So even if you find that for whatever reason it didn't work, for whatever, it didn't like get magic. And I think a lot of the time when people are coming to the name directors, they're expecting the pressures of that are huge in terms of delivering greatness. And sometimes I'm happy that my mediocre is other people's good and my good is other people's great. But I think that if you make a script which is on paper director proof, then I think that's like hats off. Then you have not really got the director to be the guy who's actually making it. So
okay. So if you have to choose one campaign from your body of work that got everything right, narrative, brand, intent, emotional depth, which one would be that and why?
No, I cannot tell you these things, because if I told you one brand, then you know I would have to put Carlos the killer onto me.
Chale, koi baat nahi. I'll ask another question.
Okay, good.
Which is that one ad film that you think that you should have made it?
That I should have made of other people.
Yeah, something that really.
There's so many. Currently, I saw Ayappa's Jindal, which I thought was just brilliant. And there is so many people who've done such great work that I wish I could have done that. And I think that is your key.
You're talking about Jindal Steel.
Yes, exactly. So that's key.
One controversial ad.
Yes, it is. But in terms of its craft, in terms of its cinematicness, is something which when I saw, I said, this is good work. This is work that I wish I had made that. And I'm not sort of getting into, because I don't know the details of why the controversy, etc. I think best to ask those people who were part of that conversation. I received it really as somebody who was watching it, and then later on is when I was told or I read. But by and large, I think that what happens is, for me, when you say, I wish I'd made that, I think Bob is doing some great work, and that's work that sometimes I say, I wish I'd done that.
So with the lines between entertainment and advertising increasingly blurring, how do you see the evolving role of branded content in the OTT and digital first
Embrace it. Embrace brand first. So in the sense that we are right now, even in Equinox, what we're saying is that, look, I did Aarya, and I was told to put like a brand, obviously because it was brand placement. But I'm coming
She kept on switching on the light.
Yeah, so there was a mirror. It was like, so all of that. And what happened was, I'm coming from advertising, so I'm responsible. But I think I'm one of the rare people who is now having a conversation with brands, and we're having a conversation with the OTT platforms to say, guys, let's not apologize for the brand. Let's make content that is brand center. Let's make bespoke content which is brand first. And that is really what I'm going to be embracing more and more, because then what you're talking about, entertainment, stories, feelings, connection, are all ways that we may perhaps have to change the 10, 20, 30-second format and make it the 20-minute, 45-minute format. And in that, we need to then embrace the brand.
Okay, but is there something that is totally non-negotiable when it comes to branded content? Is something that probably you won't compromise at all for brands?
No, because I come from advertising. I'm passionate about advertising, and I think that if I have to do justice to that brand, then I should in fact put that as the, how shall I say, the responsibility of that. And currently what's happening is, I think that there are apologies which are being made, and we should not be apologetic. We should say that, look, this content is being made for this brand, and without this brand, this content would not exist.
Even audience wouldn't mind watching good branded content.
In fact, that's what I'm saying, that it's a Western idea that we should now, sort of placement kar lo, apologize for it. Oh, people will think, no, those are all notions which are Western notions. I think in India, I remember there was a film called, was it Meri Baap Ki Maruti or something?
Yeah, it was commissioned for Maruti.
Now that is fantastic brand first content. And that's
my favorite is TVF Pictures.
Exactly. Excellent. Excellent. This is where advertising should go, given where we are now in terms of the reinvention of that. And that is what we at Equinox, with Manoj, with Amita, we are here, and we want to go out there to brands and tell them to, guys, let's, even to the OTT platforms, and we're having those conversations, because I think, I'm going to plug myself for a moment, I think we're one of the rare production houses who has done both. And so we understand both languages. We understand the content language and we understand the advertising language, and we know how to fit it.
So do you have a separate branded content division altogether?
It's me and Manoj and Amita. No, but yes, there is a team, and that team is basically out there creating. Right now, we have 10 ideas for branded content.
Okay, I have one visited card.
I don't like that name, actually, branded content. I want to try and change that name. Do you have a better name for it? Because as soon as you call it branded content, no, it smells differently. We should not apologize, like I said.
Branded entertainment.
Branded, and no, wo brand ka hi naam aa jata hai. We should. I want to call it whatever, bespoke brands. I don't know, whatever. Something which basically makes it brand center.
But if something is branded content, then why not call spade a spade? I mean, it's branded content. Then of course, branded content.
वो क्या होता है? It's not even with the people. It's with the advertising community that they themselves say, "Arey yaar, ye kya hai," etc. My problem with the word is that as soon as that word becomes something which we can actually, glorify, like suddenly I heard micro series. Okay, then 1 minute kind of series. Okay, and I said, "Ye acha naam acha hai, micro series." Okay.
So my next question is that I had probably 3-4 years ago when I attended Cannes Lion. Over there, I attended one session, and in that session, some TBWA global person said that creative agency people cannot be good script writers; they can be good copywriters.
I think I can do a 3-hour session and give you the X-ray of how to write a script is easy to do. but that's an X-ray, right? To make that X-ray into Marilyn Monroe is magic.
So he said this in terms of branded content. So he said that creative agencies can create good ads.
No, but I can teach people, and I can do a course which can tell people how do you. Because yes, there is a certain indoctrination. Like I had to learn it myself. I didn't come from. I've been wanting to make feature films from age 16, but I didn't come from a long format storytelling world. I had to learn it, and it's easy to learn. And I think we have some extremely great creative minds, and we have some incredibly intelligent people in advertising. And I would love to interact with them on larger formats. There are some rules; those rules are easy to learn. ऐसा कुछ है नहीं कि they can't. I learned, okay, and I'm yet learning. So I think that there is nothing like that at all.
Okay, so I was working on long format.
I think, however, the question is, it does take time. It takes not the learning, but the doing of that. So it's not a 1 month turnaround. And therefore, I think that the biggest commitment is that the client has to make that commitment. And we're hoping that the brand manager doesn't change by the time it's out, because then what happens is that it is a long-term game. So that's the biggest issue. It's not talent. It's just the tyranny of time. Because ये जो हम content करते हैं, उसमें time लगता है.
Yeah.
So that's really where the problem lies. I think talent you should take for granted.
ये तो controversial statement बोल दिया.
Talent तो सबके पास है.
नहीं.
Talent एक चीज जो है ना, where I find that if you're going to be working with me, I take it for granted that you're talented. If you're working with a certain set of people, obviously you're talented. Then there's hunger. I don't take hunger for granted, because I think hunger is what we want, what we are at Equinox.
So basically you mean skill सबके पास हो सकती है.
Yes. But hunger, work ethic, passion भी actually I take for granted. हम लोग यहाँ इस industry में हैं because we are passionate about it. So talent and passion आप side में रख लो, वो है सबके पास. अभी और क्या चाहिए मुझे? Okay, I want work ethic. I want hunger. I want things to be done on time. I want a certain transparency. I want a certain honesty. Those are things which...
So I think this answer is for the people who are willing to join Equinox. They should come prepared with this answer and tell what they bring to the table. Work ethics?
No, in fact, it was amazing how many people we met on the way in who had already worked with us.
Okay. Has working on long format stories like Neerja and Aarya made you more critical of advertising briefs or more empathetic to the limitations that come with the brand work?
No, in fact, the advertising has helped Neerja and Aarya, because I'm always saying, what's my target audience? What am I saying? What's the duration? I think everything that I've done in advertising has only helped my long, format work. And so I owe a lot to advertising.
So one last word for the people who are willing to enter the ad production world or even creating content in general.
I think those are the methods of getting to do your work are unfortunately the same. You have to join somebody. And the biggest problem is knocking on those doors. I knocked on Far Production, Pralhad, at Genesis. I knocked on about 4 or 5 doors when I started off. And thankfully, Equinox accepted me. And many years later, I'm now here. And so for all of you people out there, I think go and knock.
How many years did it take?
It took me 2 years to become a partner, which is, I think, thanks to Shumanthro, because he had that faith and trust. And literally 2 years from being a trainee to a director. And then I think it'll take me, a photographer was asked, at what f-stop did you shoot this photograph? And he said, f5.6 and 30 years. So the rest of it is all life, right? So it's not how long it really took you to do, because I think what happens is in this mountain that we've all chosen to climb, even you, you've chosen to climb this, right? Probably your family said, no, you kya ho raha hai, etc. Why do you want to do this, etc. And you said, I want to do this. Now, in the mountain that you chose to climb, this mountain is something which is not a time bound thing. It's because you're liking climbing the mountain.
Yeah, so one actually has to fall in love with something
with
to do
that,
actually.
yeah. Which is why I say that, I mean, and I think that if you're climbing this mountain, you're already in love with it. Otherwise, nobody in this Goa Fest is here because their parents forced them, or they had
To
to
be
do it.
in advertising,
To be in
to be in
advertising,
marketing.
to be in marketing, or it was a family business. No, everybody is here. We are all like, off the map people, right? In a way.
So my colleague who's shooting this video
Right.
has come from NTPC Chhattisgarh.
Perfect. Perfect. And his parents are saying, why? as they all do to us when we come here and join, whether it's advertising or filmmaking or photography or journalism, whatever that we are doing. And all our parents are always saying why. And I think that's a great thing, because I think that we all have some kind of a calling. And that calling is what we then try and, sort of embrace.
Okay. Thank you so much,
Thank you.
Ram.
Thank
It was
you.
amazing speaking to you. I think it's a fun conversation.
Well, I hope people like it, and I hope I didn't say anything controversial. Mahalakshmi, did I? No. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.